I will show you how you can improve your application performance using Lightstep. Imagine I am a developer or an architect, and the business told me that we should improve the performance of our application in order to have a better customer experience and to get more customers using your application. How do you translate this technically? It's simple. You will see that if you want to improve the performance of your application, that means in fact that you should improve, for example, your P95 or your P99 or P90. Why is that? Because this represents the fact that 5% of your transactions are slower than 1.24 seconds and 95% are faster. So this is the definition of the P95. So if I improve my P95, for example, to put it to 1.1 second or 1 second, most of my transaction will be faster and my service will be better for my customers. When I started IT more than 20 years ago, we used to do that by running a performance test and looking at the longest transactions, the ones that take the most time. So here, just filtering on duration and taking the ones that take the most time, so the make payment. Problem is this transaction is used only by 1% of my customer in production, meaning they represent only this bar. At the end, improving this transaction will not improve the overall performance of my application. So I need to find a better way to focus on all these parts. So maybe I could just select them by using the selector here. And like this, I will have all my transactions that are over 1.24 seconds. The problem is, okay, I've got some make payment, but I've got also many other transactions. So how can I know what is the priority, which transaction I should start with? So typically, what I require is a way to really understand what are the transactions in this pack that are the most used by my customers. And this is what we can do with the correlation of Lightstep. As you can see here, Lightstep has calculated what is common between all the context of this most slowest transaction in my application. And this is what you can see with the black bars here. You've got the most, I would say, common points between all these slow transactions. And I can see that I've got an API gateway with an operation wait for client queue that is generating more than 85% of my latency contribution. So if I filter my transaction just by this attribute, I will focus only on the transactions that are representing most of my latency. And I can then zoom into this transaction and correct what is the longest part of this transaction, which is a wait for client queue operation. So that is really a fast way to understand easily what is happening, what is creating latency in your application. For sure, you can also use this correlation algorithm to understand what is creating the most errors in your application. Or you can use the Explorer query in order to zoom on a specific service that you want to optimize, or on any specific context information, like for example, I want to optimize the performance, but just for one very sensitive customer, I can zoom on this customer and then use again the correlation to identify what is creating the most latency for this one. That's it. You now understand what is important to focus on in order to improve your customer experience. Thank you.